So going off of Sister Angela's the candlesticks with the 7 across the top, I noticed, of course, the mirroring effect, and I gave kind of a highlight because I was so excited when I found it, because it seems like it's a double promise from God. You know, Noah got the single rainbow, and we're getting the double rainbows. And I remember a while back of everybody posting double rainbows, and it seems like they're increasing, and it wasn't really common to see those. So in the mirroring effect, and I should have fixed this correctly, because this should have just flipped upside down to be opposite of what this is. So God should have been the throne of God up here, and then the Spirit of the Lord here. So I kind of laid that out, but I didn't really think about it until I started looking at it better. But anyway, you'll get the gist of it. The left and the right, both sides, and you got to think, like, you have your right and your left. Well, like on a patient, when we're looking at them, it's flipped, opposite, a left and a right. And it can get confusing. So usually we'll go my way, your way, is what my most recent partner at work taught me, which is pretty good, and it works very well, because you get them backwards, because you're like, patient's right or my right? But anyway, talking about the lights and the rainbow and the different colors. Well, colors have a vibration, and where you are with God shows your light, your aura, and what children and animals can see. And we learn that when we lose that by, like, we're learning the ways of Egypt, the ways of man, and that corruption, and, you know, figuring out there's good and bad in the world, because when you're a child, you just think everybody's the same, and just, you know, you're full of joy, and you don't realize there's people that take advantage of you, which infuriates God. There will be recompense for it. Don't make no mistake about that. But, you know, coming out of Egypt, you're to fear God and to return. And you don't enter in just any gate. It's by the fish gate. That's where the masses come in, at the fish gate. And these are some confirmation scriptures on that, on the fish gate, which is the east gate. And I took a picture and posted it on the fish gate, and there's 5 wandering stars right now in the fish gate with the bands, or cords, I guess I should say. But I guess it would be probably more of the band, because the bands of love, which I find kind of funny how everything's correlating. But in the middle, green being the door entering the fish gate, Luke 23:31, the green tree is what Sister Angela was talking about, where it says, I am a green olive tree in the house of God. Green being the middle, green being the door of the fish gate where you come in. And then as far as curtains, if you've ever noticed the northern lights, and I've never seen them, I think it would just be awe-inspiring to see the lights draping down as curtains. And I've noticed here lately, the northern lights have been coming closer to us, to where you can kind of see them. It's not as pronounced as if you're further north than when you come to the south, but they're starting to come. Maybe a double mirroring effect again. I'm not sure. But something I noticed, you know, you have these different colors and where you fall, and indigo is where you're thinking about being good, you know, if you use your fruits of the spirit type thing, and being good. Well, violet would give off when you have faith, meekness, temperance. Or would violet just be faith? And then you go through the humbling process to learn patience. And when you get the 3 become one, you can approach the throne of God. White, which he's pure white light. Well, if you put violet and white together, you get lilac. Let's see, I think that was all for that one. But as far as your soul, you know, they like to play around with that, and that's not good, because people can really manipulate things. But unrighteous man in man's world is like God, But the righteous rank, God's people, is God ruling, God reigning. So in 2nd Chronicles, it was talking about, now after this, he built a wall without the city of David on the west side of Gihon in the valley, even unto the entering of the fish gate, encompassed about Ophel, and raised it up a great height, and put a captain of war in all the fenced cities of Judah. These names aren't about a certain people anymore. These names have meaning and underlying meaning, and I should have drawn that out. It's funny how you find things and there's more little hidden mysteries to add to it. But as far as white being truth, the pure white truth of God, red being love, orange joy, yellow peace, green long suffering. Let me tell you, Jesus had that. Blue is gentleness, indigo goodness, violet faith, which is believe, meekness. Don't mistake meekness for weakness. It's humbleness. And then temperance, which is patience, which is what Mom said, patience is a virtue. Well, Jesus felt virtue flow out of him. Healing. So, it talked about in one of my other videos where God revealed the sash, and it talked about blue, purple, and scarlet. Well, blue is purity, purple being royalty, and scarlet being sacrifice. And I put strong 73. Pertains to that. But if you think of Jacob's ladder, and you're climbing the ladder, which if I had done the real marrying effect in the throne of God, you would be climbing a ladder. So you would have the white and then the red. Well, if you think about white and red, pink, that was a color that was removed. And I'm wondering if maybe it's closing in is why some of the colors have kind of gone away. But here a few months back, I saw a rainbow and I saw more colors than what was typical, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And I don't believe I took a picture. But love is selflessness and compassionate. Joy, deep and abiding sense of happiness and well-being, even in difficult times. The oil of joy cannot be stolen or sold. You have to have that. They talked about the 10 virgins, and 5 were foolish and 5 were wise. 5 foolish just went about, sleeping and just going on their merry way and doing everyday life. And then you had the 5 wise with the deep abiding and well-being, even through all the hard times. Like today, what we're going through, these hard times, pressing out the olives brings the oil of joy. So peace is the state of tranquility and harmony as one. Long-suffering, utterance in the face of provocation and hardship. Endurance in the face of provocation and hardship. Gentleness is kindness, meekness, lack of harshness in one's dealings. Let me tell you, I'm having to learn that. That bad side likes to creep up on us. And let me tell you, if you're going to say you can do all of this, you're a liar. Because there's only one that has done it, and there's only one that has all of this, and this is God. It's a journey. It's a marathon. We're to strive. Goodness is moral uprightness and tendency to do what's right. Boy, if we have more of that these days. Faith is trust and reliance on God and His promises. And let me tell you, God is the one who does not break any promises. He will hold to His word. Meekness is humility and willing to submit to God's will. And sometimes that long suffering is required, which is the humbleness. Temperance is self-control and moderation in all areas of life. I get a lot like Job sometimes, and I think that's where I get that thorn in the side, speaking from my own experience to help others. But, I get so mad at seeing the things that are wrong and being done, and sometimes, even though I'm speaking the truth, I don't do it very productively because I'll get so mad hell moves under my feet. And people get afraid, but I don't like being that person. I'm tired of the lawlessness, and I'm sure God's doing it too, but that's the long suffering that we have to go through to get that oil of joy and bring us and put us to dust and ashes so he can build us back up. But I was talking about, and I posted in the community page, the child's songs, and it's the Music Machine, which talks about the fruits of the Spirit. And there's another one called Bullfrogs and Butterflies. So if you take blue and violet, you get indigo, but with all three, then you come to purple in order and not the mixed bag. So, you know, they love to use these colors. And, you know, they talk about blue, indigo, and where there's violet with the coloring, and they like to use scarlet. Well, if you think of scarlet, scarlet would be on the opposite end of the spectrum. They turn it on its own head. Because scarlet represents sacrifice of self. And there's not a lot of people that can do that these days. They're all about their self and all about selfish greed. And I don't get it. Oh, I did. So on the 9, and I didn't figure this, I just kind of was playing around, but I did it as Jacob's ladder, and it's wide and narrow, the IR and the UV, it's different radiations, different colors, different frequencies that come across. Well, if you think about the ones that are really close together, it's a higher frequency. It has a shorter distance to travel. So if this right here, if they weren't interconnected, that frequency would be broken. And if you have a short frequency and you move it here, it can only go so far. You can't bring it all the way over. And I learned this by being a lieutenant with the communications of the different frequencies of UHF and VHF on radios. Is one can work better depending on where you're at. If you're way out in the middle of the boonies, then you'll want a lower frequency because it can travel farther. So you're traveling farther rather than just a short distance. So what I was drawing out, and I did the colors, and I was trying to figure out, you know, going from being simple and working your way to being the wisdom of and knowledge of God and understanding. But the outer darkness, I just like walls of ice, because I've seen, you know, this is a 180. It's not the whole 360, but if you put them together, you would get a 360. And there's like walls of ice around. And if you've ever looked at a U to the N, they tell you on that FLAG, and I'm wondering if that's the outer darkness outside that wall. I mean, I'm just thinking. Sometimes I go way out there. But if you think about it, white is all the colors together. Black is no color at all. It's absent of light. If it's darkness, how great is that darkness? I mean, it's crazy. And to think that man can be like God. His depth and width is so immeasurable. It's unfathomable. And Sister Angela said it, you know, she gets these little grains of sand in her hand, but there's a beach full of sand. It's all inspiring. And this is God's wisdom. This is not of me. It's not of Sister Angela. It's not whoever speaks. This is God's. It's to be shared. It's for all of us. So in a prism, you cannot have pink, magenta, and purple. It can only be made from red and blue light, which red and blue kind of reminds me of the blood and water. So 6 color rainbow, man's rainbow, for man 6, and they put it as 17, as 7 is 1 short of 7 is 6. And then there's an 8 color rainbow, new beginnings, creation, victory, prosperity, and overcoming. And I want to work on this one some more, because this is just something I just kind of threw together when I was looking at it and started looking at the different radiation, because color is a frequency, well, frequency is radiation. So in the different distances, but that goes on a whole nother level that I know a little bit about. I can take care of people. I've mastered that pretty well, but a lot of times I feel like I'm, good at so much different little things that I'm master of none of them. But I'll see what else I can find and see what God reveals through his word. This has got to be off of God's word. This isn't something that you can make up. Oh, bridegroom, the one who establishes. So bow, a shooting, is iris. And then you have to bend, to arch, which rainbows do. So Strong's 5115, tuxon, refers to a bow used in the context of Revelation 6:2, the rider on the white horse. Well, if you think of Kasheth, is a weapon used for shooting, refers to a bow, a weapon used to shoot arrows, warfare, hunting, symbol of strength and power, sign as God's judgment and covenant, as seen in the rainbow after the flood. I'm getting tongue-tied. Requires skill and strength to use effectively. Metaphorically describes God's might and his ability to execute judgment or deliverance. So archers, ows, bow, bowmen, bows, bullet, rainbow. It's in Boquesh 6983 on Strong's is to set a trap. And Cush was the eldest son of Ham, and they were the enemies within the Trojan horse. But then you have Oth, which is Strong's 226. It's a sign, a token, mark, miracle, flag, beacon, monument, omen, prodigy, evidence, appearing, coming forth. So we have to be careful, rightfully divide the word of truth, because there are some who are not who they say they are.